Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something incredible, how a centuries-old legend was brought back to life in 20th century Thailand to create one of the most powerful spiritual objects in the nation. It's a story about faith, for sure, but it's also about friendship and how belief can literally rebuild a community from the ground up.
So where does this all start? Well, it doesn't begin with a man, exactly. It begins with a legend that's been passed down for over 300 years. This is Luang Putwat, a monk from the Ayutthaya period who, it's believed, had some truly miraculous powers. You know, his story is really a cornerstone of faith, especially in southern Thailand.
And his most famous tale? It's the kind of thing that sounds like it's straight out of a myth. It's said he could turn the salty ocean into fresh, drinkable water just by stepping into it. An act like that, well, that alone pretty much cemented his legacy as this figure of immense spiritual power and compassion.
But okay, so you've got this incredible, ancient story. How does that become something tangible, something you can actually hold in your hand? How does folklore from 300 years ago become such a powerful force in our modern world? Well, to figure that out, we've got to fast forward a few centuries, to a forgotten temple that was literally falling apart.
And this is where our main character enters the picture, right in the middle of some of the worst global chaos imaginable.
Let me introduce you to Ajarn Tim. He was born into a really devout family, and from a young age, his life was all about the Dharma. Then, in 1941, this huge responsibility gets dropped right on his shoulders. He's appointed the acting abbot of Wat Chang Hai. And let me tell you, this challenge would end up defining his entire life.
Now, when I say he took over a temple, you've got to understand, this was not some grand, pristine place. It was basically a ruin. We're talking crumbling walls, almost totally abandoned, with the jungle just swallowing it whole. And if that wasn't enough, World War II was raging. You had Japanese troops using the railway, literally right next to the temple gates. The local people were absolutely terrified, looking for any safe place they could find. So Ajarn Tim wasn't just a monk, he had to be a provider, a protector, a source of hope when there really was none.
So, in the middle of all this hardship, this is when the solution appears. And it doesn't come from any ordinary place. It comes from the spiritual realm.
Ajarn Tim starts having these incredibly powerful recurring visions. And in these visions, who appears? None other than Luang Putwat himself. The ancient monk gives him a direct instruction. Create an amulet in my image. And why? To raise the money needed to finally rebuild the temple. It was like the past was literally reaching out to save the present.
But a mission this big, he knew he couldn't do it alone. He needed what's called a sahatamik. It's a Pali word, and it means something way deeper than just a friend. It's a true spiritual brother, someone on the exact same path as you, bound by the Dharma.
And that spiritual brother was Ajarn Nong from the nearby Wat Sai Khao. And get this, they were ordained as monks on the very same day. You just can't make this stuff up. Their bond was everything. Think of it like this. Ajarn Tim had the vision, but Ajarn Nong was the crucial collaborator who helped make it real, gathering sacred materials, co-leading the ceremonies. This was a partnership built on just immense, incredible faith.
So with these two working together, their shared vision and collaboration led to one of the most legendary amulets in all of Thai history.
Okay, so in 1954, they made the first batch. These are the famous Nirwan amulets. So what's in them? A sacred powder, a paste made from over 108 different types of herbs and other holy materials. They made about 64,000 of them, all for one single purpose, to build a new main chapel for Wat Chang Hai. And almost immediately, things started to happen. Stories of Klao Klot, which is this idea of miraculous protection from all kinds of danger. They just exploded. They spread like wildfire. We're talking tales of people walking away from impossible car accidents, narrowly avoiding disaster, all while wearing one of these amulets. Its reputation as an object of serious protective power was sealed. As you can imagine, the public's faith just soared. The response was overwhelming. Donations came flooding in, and that new temple chapel, the entire reason they started this sacred mission, was completed just 2 years later in 1956. The vision had become a reality.
But they weren't done, not by a long shot. The temple was restored, sure, but their mission to serve was about to get even bigger. So fast forward 9 years to 1965. They create a new, much smaller batch of amulets, this time about 5,000 of them.
And here's the kicker. This is where their vision truly expanded beyond the temple walls. The mission had changed. This time, the funds weren't for the temple at all, but for the wider community. All the money raised was used to construct an entire new building for the local public school. And that, right there, just brilliantly illustrates the heart of their entire legacy. You see, it wasn't just about preserving religion. It was about transforming that spiritual faith into tangible, lasting good for all of society. It's a perfect example of faith-driven community development.
So when you look back, the legacy left by Ajarn Tim and Ajarn Nong is just massive. They took a nearly forgotten legend and made him a national spiritual icon. They turned a ruin in the middle of a jungle into a thriving center of faith. And maybe most importantly, they proved that faith could not only build temples, it could also build schools.
Their whole story really comes down to an unwavering vision, a powerful partnership, and a profound dedication to service. Their goodness and virtue, just like this quote says, truly remain in the memory of all their followers, inspiring belief across Thailand and beyond, even to this day.
Which leaves us with a final thought, right? What truly makes a legend endure? Is it the ancient miracle, the detailed history, or is it maybe something more simple and powerful? The act of two friends working together, using their faith to do some real good for others.